Put on my blue suede shoes and I boarded the plane. Touchdown in the land of the Delta Blues, in the middle of the pouring rain. W.C. Handy, won't you look down over me? Yeah, I got a first class ticket, but I'm as blue as a boy can be. Then I'm walking in Memphis, just walking with my feet 10 feet off a beam. Walking in Memphis, but do I really feel the way I feel? Saw the ghost of Elvis on Union Avenue, followed him up to the gates of Graceland, and I watched him walk right through. Now security, they did not see him, they just hovered around his tomb. But there's a pretty little thing waiting for the king down in the jungle room. When I was walking in Memphis, I was walking with my feet 10 feet off a beam. Walking in Memphis, but do I really feel the way I feel?
So that actually should just be Walking in Memphis with a good book in my hand is what it should be.
There we go.
Everybody, welcome to Earth is Quill. The reason I actually played that tonight was, believe it or not, Tennessee's overall reading, they have gone up something like 27% since the COVID period, and it's actually stayed. So during COVID, they went up about right around, they said right around 30%. And judging from book sales and other things, that it seems to have stayed in place. So that's nice. That means people in Tennessee can actually read. I didn't know. Look, I'm from the deep South. Nobody can read down here, man. We're just talking about, that's why we have signs with little numbers and letters on them. So, we know where we're going. But anyway, welcome to the show, everyone. I hope everyone's been having a great afternoon out all around the country and staying out of trouble. If you listen to us around the world, welcome. I know it's evening, morning, all over the place. If you're out in Australia, hell, it's Sunday over there. So happy Sunday for everybody out there. We have Spencer Sekulin with us tonight, and of course we have the famous John Goodwin with us tonight, and we're just going to be talking about what Spencer's been up to, what kind of trouble he's been doing, who he's been chasing around the planet. He looks like one of them kind of guys that might get in trouble. We better not let him get around Zach. It could be problems, man. We could be having problems. But Spencer, welcome to the show, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Oh, thank you for being on. We always enjoy having people on. And I know, I think Carmen was telling me you were in book 39 as Writers of the Future, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, this one.
Yes. Oh,
yep.
Yes.
That one right there. Yeah.
Somewhere I got one of them around here. Oh, and don't look at this. This one's actually been one. It was one last week. It's going to go out. Actually, it goes out Monday, so y'all won't see it anymore. But
let's see. Can you see that? That's the Children
of there
it
goes. Now I can see it.
Yep. So as John was saying, my story is the Children of Desolation in volume 39. Great volume, by the way.
Black and white illustration. Yeah, let's just get that.
I enjoy reading. I usually get to read the volumes twice because John sends them to me, and I read them when I get some time at the house, and then I always read them on the airplane coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the artist of this, Siberian, is her pen name. She's going to actually make it this year. She wasn't able to get a visa last year. She's from
Romania.
Yeah. So she got a visa, so she'll be able to attend this year the workshop. Yes. So that's
okay.
Pretty good.
That's good. Yeah. That's very good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, I've been hearing all kind of people be going to showing up at this thing. No, Jack, I can't tell y'all anything. No, I'm the only one that can't say anything. John can, or if Emily's here, she can say. I'm not allowed to say anything. Any secrets I learn, I gotta keep them.
That's right. That's
just the way
Spencer won the contest when he's in Canada, and now he's going to be a doctor, right, in Ireland. You're studying in Ireland?
Yep, that's where I am right now. I'm in Dublin, a lovely city of Dublin right now.
Wow, you've got an accent starting to happen here.
Oh, isn't it the Canadian one, or is there some Irish getting in
there?
Some Irish is getting in there now. Yeah.
Hey, that's a good thing. That's don't get too crazy now. Yeah, you got to watch though, because if it crosses over too much, I won't know what you're saying. I've interviewed people, a couple of how can I say this politely? Some really hardcore Irish people and some really hardcore Scottish people. And I was like, and I have a bad accent, so I shouldn't pick on anybody. But no, man. I was like, wait, we're gonna have to slow this down to Mach 0 and then just figure out what word is what word. It was funny as hell, but it was because they get deep and they get almost like a gravelly sound to them after a while.
It depends on which part of Ireland. Yeah, on the West Coast especially, there's some dialects that get pretty tough to decipher.
But it's always great to listen to. It's always funny to me because when you talk to American women, they always love a good accents from overseas, especially in those regions. I don't know what it is. Look, and ladies, don't even try to BS me because you know it's true. So don't even. But in all fairness, I get a lot of compliments from my accents from people in Europe, which is funny to me because it's a coon-ass accent. So I'm kind of like, what? Maybe I should come over here and see what it is. But it is weird that both sides like the other accents. I find it strange. I guess it's because it's something you don't hear every day.
Yeah.
And it just sounds different. But hey, what can you do? So what have you been up to? You've been staying out of trouble? I mean, it ain't been that long since you've been getting into trouble. So...
Yeah, well, ever since getting back from the Writers of the Future workshop, I kind of went back into the whole medical school thing. As you may or may not know, I work as a paramedic in Ontario, in Canada there, but I take a break from that and come out here and do this as well. So
that's a serious commute.
Yeah, well,
it is. It's more than an hour. It's more than an hour, needless to say. So just a little bit. So, but I've been writing the whole time. I always write. I make time for it. Like I'll get up at 5 a.m. here, and I get up at 5 a.m. and I'll spend a few hours writing before starting classes or anything else. So I still make sure I cut out the time regardless because I have to. It's writing is something I need to do. It's part of my
good
identity.
therapy.
It's therapy, but I always need to be creating something, right? And it's not always easy. It's not always easy to write, I will say. Sometimes it feels like I'm just hitting my head against a wall, but the bottom line is I got to keep showing up to it, no matter how busy I am, no matter what's going on, because it is as much a part of me as everything else I'm doing. So
when you wrote Children of Desolation is dark fantasy. So is that like your genre of choice, or that's just what this one happened to be?
It tends to be my genre of choice, I think. Like sci-fi or fantasy, I tend to lean more towards the more gritty, serious subject matter, I guess. I read a lot of like Brandon Sanderson. I mean, he's not always dark, but it tends to get pretty serious, I would say.
Yeah.
In many cases, at least like the Mistborn.
Mistborn,
yeah. But like Brent Weeks, the Night Angel trilogy, I really like that. People like, is it Abercrombie? Joe Abercrombie?
I haven't read him.
Some pretty dark, like pretty gritty medieval kind of fantasy, right? So, but I read a variety, but I tend to lean more towards the darker side of fantasy, I would say.
But at least it's not horror, because dark horror just doesn't have an uptick at the end. You had like on this one had a nice little okay, good. There was a definite good resolution. The guy dealt with his loss and came out the other end all the better for it. So that was good.
Yeah. I don't like stories that don't have that kind of positivity at the end.
Yeah.
Like I want to see people go through difficult things, and the same with when I write them too, right? There has to be some big problems, and usually problems that we all have to deal with, right? Be it illness, be it loss, be it, your own personal issues inside, right? Like, I got to see the character struggle with something, and it tends to get heavier and darker, but the deeper they get dug into, right? The deeper they go, the more satisfying I find it is when they pull themselves out of it, right?
Yeah.
So I tend to like to see journeys of that, right? To that dark night of the soul and out again, as they might call it.
Right. But that also, that future Earth isn't too far away from now either, from the way you wrote it. I noticed the date of...
Oh yeah. In that one, yeah. Well, that depends.
It was like 2027, I think, is what it had in there. Like, whoa, that's
was it?
Yeah, I think it was.
In the new version I'm writing, I just kind of blank it out so you can only see 20, and then you don't know what the actual date is. So I leave it up to interpretation. But you're right. I did have that.
Yeah. When I read it again this morning to get ready for this, I went, wow, this is definitely pretty desolate, even just on the immediacy of it.
Well, in 10 years, people will read it and be like, huh, it didn't happen.
Yes, after the nuclear winter, thanks to Putin, we can be reading in the dark with a candle, reading about what was coming.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's
In the Children of Desolation, they're like, you've got then a new breed. Like earlier authors had Godzilla. Spencer's now got, these critters.
Well, guys, y'all can get it. Well, Spencer, can you get it just as a book, or you got to get it in the anthology? Because somebody just asked me where they could get the story at, and I know they can get it in the anthology.
Yeah.
But somebody asked if it was just a separate book somewhere. I don't think so.
No,
Currently, it's a short story inside the actual anthology right now.
And here you can get.
I am working on a full length novel based on it. It's been a bit rocky going through it, but I am getting started on that and kind of chipping away at it as I go.
I'd definitely be interested in reading once you get it, and then we can talk about it on the Rise to Feature podcast too.
Yes, because it would be. I mean, first story is interesting to start off with, because who was it just recently? I know somebody converted their story to a book. Who was it? Death of a Taxman. That's who it was.
David Hankins in here. That was also in here too.
Yes.
And I had him as a guest too, as he was to help when he launched his Kickstarter. So I'll definitely help you with that. I love it when I see that winners have taken their short story and turned into a novel. There's a few others too that I'm anxious for them to finish it, and I want to interview them as well, because I loved their short story and say, I'm going to novelize. I need to know more about that character. So
plus my family loves when we get all these books, because they love to read. They're like, well, bookworm would not even be a fair statement to them. I mean, they read. I mean, I remember
the sandworm from Arrakis is more like it.
Oh yeah, because I mean, so I just met my wife. She goes in Anne Rice's stuff was out, and the damn book's like this thick. She goes, "Well, you get it from me?" I said, "Yeah." And so I got the hard copies. I always like hard copies. I give it to her. She goes, "Well, you're gonna have to go get this one." Why? I said, "Why?" Yes, she's already read it. I'm like, "What do you mean you already read it?" I was like, "Both." I was like, "Babe, you could not have already read that book." We're talking like 3, maybe 4 hours later. She's like, "Yeah, I'm done." She said, "I need something else." So we ended up having books. My house became like a little mini bookstore. I mean, there was books everywhere between what she was buying and the kids were bringing and the stuff we get from all the different writers and artists we talked to over the 25 years I've been doing this. There was just books everywhere, and they love to read. So anytime we get, matter of fact, Death of the Taxman, he sent me a copy yesterday. It was sitting on my table. I looked towards this morning. My daughter's got it in her room. She's reading it.
That's a great book. I really enjoyed it.
She's like, "Yeah, I got it." I'm like, "Okay, no, you can read it. Okay." I mean, eventually we'll give it away, but unless it's autographed. If it's autographed, it goes somewhere up here in one of the spots on the shelf. But if it's not, it goes to we give it away somewhere doing the porch. Because this one, actually, we gave this one away last week on the show, and yes, it's going up to somewhere in I forget, somewhere outside of Buffalo, New York is where it's going.
Well, of interest also is Death and Taxman is being released on Tax Day. 2024.
I heard that. It's a good idea.
Well, it's a good idea. Yes, because it's a fun book. I mean, it was a fun story. So, I mean, so far, so all of these you see behind me from 30 to 39, I've read all of those. Plus, I think I want to say I'm at book 24, 25. I think I'm on book 25. I had picked up by the way, guys and girls, over at Galaxy Press, they got these little bundles you can get, and that's what I did. It was like a 5-book bundle. It was like, I think it was like 23 to, anyway, when you go, you'll see them. So a couple of them, it was about a year ago, I think I picked them up, and they were sitting over there, and I started reading them as I was running out of stuff to do. Well, I'm also listening to Mission Earth, so I think I'm on book 6 on that. Well, I got hung up. I couldn't listen to it for a while. There's a bunch of stuff went on. Then somebody stole my phone. Anyway, we're not getting into all of that. But so I took a couple of months break. But anyway, I'm back to it. So this is always good stuff. But that's the thing here. And I like these because I'm getting old now. So when I read one of the anthologies, I come back like 6 months later. I don't remember what the hell I read. So I'm enjoying it again for the second time. And there's just really good stories. I mean, I got to say, the number one thing I like about all of these stories, regardless who was the author, is there's no sex. I mean, there's just no hardcore sex. There's nothing to do with drugs or alcohol. There's no real heavy core violence. It's and there's no cursing. And I got to tell you, I really truly enjoy anything without cursing. I've always had this thing, even though I like to do it on Friday nights. That's my vent. But well, I'm honest about it. But it's I've always had this problem. But if you can't have a conversation for like 2 hours without having to use a curse word, well, maybe you need to go revisit what you've been doing. And on UFO on the Cover is now 26 years old. I haven't cursed on that show not even one time, not
That's
once.
good.
And that's 2 hours each week for 26 years. That's a lot. That's a lot of time, and but it's a lot of fun. So I don't need to see it. And then I grew up in a different era, so a lot of the TV shows were goofy and stupid. There was no cursing, no violence. They were very entertaining, but none of that stuff was there. And then as I got older, I guess it really came in hardcore somewhere in the 90s. It just seemed like we went to this. Okay, if we're not blowing stuff up and a lot of stuff and a lot of people are getting shot up, even though there's not all that much blood, and even in some of the more horrifying ones, there's still not as much blood as there should be. It just got to be too much for me. I'm like, okay, it's enough of this. Because it seems like when I watch anything now, I just feel like I'm rehashing or rewatching just an alternate version of something else, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And at least with books, even though a lot of them will never become TV series or movies, at least it's a break. There's something in there that's actually different than all the stuff that Netflix or Hulu or Marvel or Disney thinks that you need to be watching or seeing. Yeah. I need that. I need, and that's one of the reasons I like meeting all of y'all in the first place is the fact that some of y'all are going to become these people that I'm hoping to see get out in there and really make some different TV or some different anything. I don't care at this place. As long as it's different, I don't care. I'm begging, Spencer. I'm telling you, man. It's hard on me. It's just, I just, and your story has actually got a nice kind of smooth, different kind of swing to it, which was nice. And then, I don't know when because the first time I caught it, I was reading it and I read it. I think I went through it too fast. And I even think I might've missed something. I'm like, what? So, cause I was reading it on the airplane. I said, wait, what the hell? I thought I was reading a different story for a minute. Obviously I missed like maybe something in the middle of the page or something. Cause it actually made sense to me. I was like, oh, okay. Now I see what's going on. That happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you're not paying attention to what you're doing. And I'm bad. See, like we'll be talking and sometimes I'll have a book over here when I'm working or something. So I'm reading as I'm working. Or if I can get it in audio, I'll have it in audio playing because I love audiobooks. Yes. I'm a big fan of audiobooks. Yes, I am. I'll push them suckers all the time. And I'm hoping Spencer will come out with like, so wait, so
his story is on audiobook too, because right.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. I forgot this volume is on.
You got the audiobook too that you can listen to.
So y'all heard that, guys. Book 39 is on an audiobook, so you can go get it and listen to it. And see that's just so much easier for me. Well, no, because I can't read like my wife. My wife just reads like a demon. Yes. Yes.
I'm just curious, Spencer, how much of your story was inspired or your work as a paramedic? Because some of the stuff that you had on the body things that were happening and stuff and on hospital was more than just like reading a book or something to get your knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would say that a fair amount of it, certainly I can see parallels or I can draw that from some of my experience. Now,
like the injuries in there were kind of graphic. So like how much of that kind of stuff have you actually experienced?
Some of it, not all of it. I mean, where I'm at, there isn't much gun like shootings, whatever. I haven't done much of that grisly stuff myself. It's more medical stuff as opposed to trauma where I'm at. Besides MVCs or ski accidents, etc. Right?
What's it? MPC?
No, like motor vehicle collisions. MVC. Oh, sorry, okay. It's what we say. So, but I find like with most things I write, a bit of the medical creeps into it, just in terms of the specifics of what they're going through, or maybe just subtle hints, I guess, at what might be going on with the patient. Right? Like it's never in depth to the point where you have to actually really have a lot of knowledge about it, but unconsciously it kind of creeps in there a bit. And I figure that adds a bit more depth and authenticity, I think, to it as well.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, when the knife goes through his hand and he's held down to the top of the train, or the shooting, or the other guy's, breaks, it's like, that's something.
Yeah, blasting me back to Godfather, man. Just calm down, people.
Yeah. That went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
What is that, Clara? What are you talking about? Oh no, indeed not. She's saying, "Wait, you were telling her what you no." So if you get sick, you want him to come pick you up, is what you're saying. I don't think so. But I tell you what, I tell you what, buy the book and I'll get him to autograph it for you. Yes, 39. It's Writers of the Future, book 39. Well, I ain't pulling it out of there, but John's got a copy with him. Now, usually I got a copy laying around, but I think I might have gave all my copies away, man. I gotta look and see.
You're threatening you never would do that.
No, not my signed ones. They're somewhere else. They're probably they're over here, some of them, and then some of them behind there. No, those don't get given away. No. What do you mean? You're gonna buy what? You're gonna buy what? Oh, you want to do like bring him? No, they want to do an auction on you, Spencer.
Okay, maybe not.
Well, I'll tell you what. At the end of the show, I'll get him to give out his email, and y'all can email him, talk to him. Oh, Jesus. So I'm sorry. So moving forward, are you going to do any like near what did they call it? I always forget the damn name of this. Near now science fiction. What the hell they call it?
It's called near future.
New future. I don't know why I can't remember that. It's because look, man, I'd be your best friend. I'm just looking for something. So I need something that's it can be crazy, outrageous, but I need some realism in there somewhere. Something that binds it to something more solid, I guess is what I'm saying. Because I've been watching so much different stuff. I mean, it's like when Altered Carbon came out, I was kind of enthused by at least the way the technology was going to run in it, and it was not that far in the future. The nudity was a bit much, but I mean, I'm sure it worked well for all the people who were watching it. But that was that near future technology, and I'm just looking because you can add any plot in there you want. I just wanted to try to keep it closer, maybe like what you did in this story, 10 years, 100 years, not more than 400 or 500 years out. Something that somehow or another the people here today can relate to it because they recognize something or some type of technology or remnant still exists from what we live in today. And because there's certain series out there that you can see in a progression, like Expanse and Babylon. They pretty much show from here where we are right now to where they are, even though there's all kind of horrible stuff that goes on in between. I don't know. It's a tough one. I guess it's one of those tough ones to write because I guess there's too much. I guess technology falls into it too much. I guess and then you get a bunch of techno babble about whatever. See, that's why I can't be a writer. See what I just did? Whatever. I can't. I guess you can put in a book, whatever, yada yada yada. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna sell real well.
So what was the question was back to the question then was whether I'm going to write any like near future stuff you were saying?
Yeah, that's just what I wanted to ask you is do you think it is damn, I'm tongue tied today. Do you think it's a genre you can write in is what I was trying to ask you.
So besides the Children of Desolation and what I'm working on with that, yeah, I can see myself working on that. I have written things before in that kind of time frame. I'm actually revising something like basically a series I wrote that's basically that. But I wrote it, a few years before writing the story I wrote now. So it's a bit rougher around the edges. So I'm kind of combing through it and kind of editing it. So that's about 4 or 5 books or so. And it kind of revolves around basically, near future kind of thing. Somewhat of a similar flavor to the Children of Desolation, but much different though in many ways as well. So it is something that I write in, and it's something that I'm currently working on, something that actually is in that too as well. So
yes, that's Stacy from Quebec wrote in. She said, "Do you catch yourself sitting in the ambulance when you have nothing to do, just writing?" And
no, I don't bring my laptop to work. If I'm at work, I'm probably doing flashcards on my phone for like medical stuff, or I'm too busy, frankly. It's busy out there.
But that's what I figured. I mean, a job like that, there's always something you got to be learning. There's always something going on. It doesn't seem to be one of those jobs you can just kind of hang out and say, oh, well, I got an hour of free time now. They'll find something you need to be learning, doing, or being involved with. And that's what I figured. But, she put it up there, so I went ahead and asked it. It's
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like writing is
yeah.
something I need to do where I know I'm not going to be interrupted as well, right? Whereas that kind of job, you're going to be interrupted all the time.
Oh yeah.
So if at most I'll have my Kobo out and I'll be reading some Brandon Sanderson, while doing laps around the garage or something, right?
Yeah,
So
that works. I
yeah.
mean, if it works, I mean, I noticed the only time I've been able to write so far is when it's just completely quiet. It's just me and maybe one whiskey sour ends at a win. It seems to work really well. It allows me to focus, I guess is what it is. Here, I'm just there's always something going on. I mean, the studio's always busy. The other company's busy. There's always somebody wanting something. Family, friends, somebody's wanting something. It's just too hard to sit down and get any real concentration going on. And if I do it, it'll have to be in the middle of like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. or something. And then I'll be surprised if one of my chihuahuas don't come find me. It's, hey, Dad, what are you doing? Let me get in your lap. Yeah, come on, let me get up to the keyboard with you. I'll help you write. And there goes a whole paragraph. It's just, I don't know. Because I got other friends I know other writers who sit and they can write 9 to 5, 5 days a week. I couldn't do it. If somebody said, I'll give you $1 million, I don't think I could do it. It's just one of those things that my attention span doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I'm curious on, so you're coming for becoming an MD, and you've got how many years to go on that?
So I'm just basically in the first year of it right now. And yeah, it's a 4-year program.
4 year. Okay, good. So then after 4 years, you're going to be a doctor. Is your goal to be able to use that so you can write really effective medical procedurals and be a best-selling author selling?
I mean, I don't really like to make
You won't be the first
of it. Like, I certainly like whatever I do bleeds into what I write, and I'm open to that happening naturally, but it's not something I would force either, right? I don't want to force anything like that. I'd rather write whatever is touching me and whatever interests me first and foremost, right?
Right.
So whatever that might be. But yeah, so for the whole medicine journey, I'm giving it a go and seeing what happens.
I mean, do you have stuff waiting at the other end for you? Like, because you've been so much already on paramedics there in Toronto, is it?
North of Toronto. It's like there's a county called Simcoe that's about an hour north of Toronto. So
Okay.
I'm more up that way.
Okay. So do you have something waiting for you too, that once you become a doctor, then you can then automatically be upgraded to being something else or working somewhere else because of your connections already?
No, it doesn't really work like that. And it's tougher because I'm not in Canada doing it. So getting back into the country, bit of a tough process, and they're making it easier, but you got to jump through some more red tape, some more hoops, etc. So if anything, I'm at a disadvantage going back to the country.
Will your certification in Ireland hold in Canada?
Yeah, like it's like, UK, Ireland, Australia, Canada, US, like it's all very high. I'm not exactly sure, but the degree of like the quality of education is all very good. Mm-hmm. So it's fairly sought after, and no one I know that's come here and done it has had issues going back and certifying. It's just a matter of, matching or residencies, and obviously domestic students get the priority versus international students, right? And just the whole, the way the way it's structured, right? So,
but you go back to Canada as a Canadian citizen, though, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. There's such a demand for that field. I mean, we're important people from all around the world. We're getting them from wherever we can. It doesn't even matter these days. In Asia, India, it's just a field that, as our population grows in age, we need more and more and more and more and more people taking care of them. And over COVID, a lot of MDs retired. They said, you know what, blank this, and we out of here. And so it's definitely a money making, one of the fields you can make good money in. It's definitely you can get some happiness out of it, and bring some happiness to some other damn people. Well, people, when you're sick, you want somebody who knows what they're doing, not somebody who doesn't. Well, I tell people all the time, doctors are like contractors. Some of them really know what you're doing, and some of them are just faking it as they go along, trying to learn as they go. Yeah, well, that's part of life. But I don't think you'd have any problem getting a job. I really don't. I got a good friend of mine who graduated nursing school, and actually first year she couldn't get a job, and she got a job somewhere in Philly and worked there for a year, and got aggravated and went back to school because she wanted to be a nurse practitioner, and then I got aggravated again and decided she wanted to be a doctor. And while she was being a doctor, she wanted to get her PhD. and do it right. I'm like, what are you, just
Wow.
crazy? And now she was living in New York doing all that. Now she's out west. She lives, I think she's in Seattle, and it might be Portland. She's just happy as pig and poop. She just loves it out there, and she's well sought after. She, with her credentials, any hospital, any doctor, any residency, they're all just looking for people. Eventually, she's going to start her own. She's just going to. I would bet she's just now hitting her 40s, so I would bet she's going to probably start her own probably next year or two. So I just, and she's telling me all the time, people are sending her, they start sending her stuff when they say, hey, you want a job, you want a job, you want a job, you want a job, you want a job. And hell, I got nurse friends down here that are making $100,000 a year. So, I mean, it's I know now, and it'd probably be true for you. They're doing stuff like offering you. So down here, they built this big, huge hospital complex. It's first, we got two big training schools down here, Tulane and LSU and University, actually three. So they've all kind of melded together and just took over like 10 blocks and made this monster brand new hospital. And then you've got Oshner down who just basically decided to buy one whole highway and turn it into a hospital complex. So they're, of course, and they're opening these little smaller ones all over the place. So they're importing doctors. So they're giving them a house, included in their pay comes with a house. They can go pick the house they want in the neighborhood they want. They pay for all of that the whole time they're here. It's just there's concessions for food to help them get an automobile. It's just whatever they can do because they're competing with places like New York, L.A., San Francisco, overseas, because even places like London are looking for. Yeah, it's just one of those things. And it's hard to even find. You know what? I was watching this thing the other day. They said it was even hard just to find ambulance drivers, not even techs, just drivers. I was like, Jesus, man, where's all these people going?
Mm-hmm.
Are we all dying that fast? We just can't keep up. What the hell's going on?
How have you experienced that, Spencer, from your end? What he's talking about there from being on the actual service side, the service provider side?
I'd say it's service dependent. It really depends on like the morale of the people that work there, right?
Yeah.
So where I'm at, for example, like, everyone there's making, 110,000 a year. Like we don't get paid badly there. We get paid pretty dang well and get good benefits. The management's good. Like, so in there, even then though, we still had a lot of staffing issues, especially during COVID. And it's mainly more so than that, the call volume, right? We're just getting more and more calls every year, more and more demand every year. But the actual infrastructure and services don't grow to meet that as well. And you see that in everything, right? Be it nursing and physicians, especially family doctors, because I'd say about half my patients, I ask them if they have a family doctor and they'll say, no, I haven't had one for 3 or 5 years. And it's like, or they're on a waiting list for months and months and months. So it's a pretty systemic issue, I would say, for sure. Depending on the area, depending on how happy people are where they are. And there's a lot of economic reasons to it too, I suppose, as well, like affordability or whatnot too.
Is your goal to be general protection, a GP, or what do you going?
I mean, I like emergency because that's what I've been doing. So, but I'm
good at it. Stay there.
Yeah.
No, really.
I wouldn't say I'm like extremely good at it. Like I don't want to be. I prefer to be humble about that, right? Like I know some stuff and I could be better, but that's the area that I've been exposed to and therefore I'm interested in. But I'm also taking this just one day at a time too, because it's a lot. So
we had one of our winners. I think it was even a grand prize winner. I forget his right now. About 20 years ago, he was a night shift emergency medical doctor. So he was in Chicago. So it was like the gruelest, most gnarly shift in the hospital. And he wanted to be an author, but he couldn't cut it when he was younger. So he decided, I'll go to med school instead. And I
can't write, but I can go to med school. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So he was getting ready to retire. And I could tell he was a doctor because of the story that he wrote, how he talked about different things. It was very obviously, I've learned over the years now how to tell. You can usually tell somebody's profession in the story that they write, especially if they're medical at all, and because of the way they describe stuff. But he was emergency room, and he said when I talked to him, after winning, he was saying, yeah, I wanted to be an author, but I couldn't. So now, after being for a while, I thought I'd approach it again. So it's John something or other. Maybe by the time we're done here, I'll remember it. But he used that into his storytelling, and he's still writing. I don't know that he's still practicing or not, but that was his whole thing. He got into that, and it was very much specialized, and just it's amazing what you have to know and be able to respond, because it's going to be all kinds of stuff that comes up, as emergencies, especially someplace in a big city like Chicago.
Yeah. There's always stuff, and no matter how good you are, no matter how much you know, there's always something that you won't know, or there's something you'll have never seen before as well. Like I've had patients that have had very rare syndromes, and most of these patients that have these rare syndromes will tell me, oh, I told the doctor I had this syndrome, and the doctor said he'd never heard of it before. And, it happens, right? Like you can't know everything. And, our knowledge, like in every field, goes up exponentially nowadays, right? So keeping up is a difficult thing. So,
well, there's always Dr. Google.
Yeah, man, they ain't too good. We need to update Dr. Google, I think.
There are, the WebMD, all that stuff. Nah. I mean, there are systems that doctors use, like here in Canada, for example, like uptodate.com, or things that physicians use that are all like vetted, and you can get reliable information. So they do that. Yeah. You got to look stuff up. You got to look up drugs. You got to look up.
Hopefully you don't get somebody like my sister that got every weird disease there ever was. She had this thing called geographical tongue, and none of it took. I'm not kidding you, man. They must have went to like 25 doctors before somebody figured out what the hell it was. Then she had this thing that started on her ankle and went up her leg. Then that went about 25 doctors. Nobody could figure out what it was. I was like, she just jinxed like that. None of it was life threatening. None of it ever killed her, thank God. But she'd get stuff that people just. It was like it was her curse in this lifetime or something, and she still does. She's in her 40s now. She's still, oh no, hell, she's in her 50s now. Well, better say that out loud. I might get in trouble. What's that?
I'll go to Johns Hopkins, and because that has a lot of times that has good advice on different things. And then I've got friends lucky. Too.
I've got a good primary who she takes really good care of me. I've got a good cardiologist. I've got a good guy who nose, throat, and whatever you want to call it, doctor.
ENT.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm actually because what happened to me when I was 46, I had to go get a stent in my right artery. It was 98% clogged. So at that point, I just woke up and said, "Oh shit, I'm not immortal. I better actually start going to the doctor and seeing the doctor." And the funny part was, before I got the stent, my blood pressure was always perfect. After I got it, it went up to I think it was like 88 over, like, I think it was like 136 or something. So, boom, you say, "Oh, well, you're going to get on blood pressure." I said, "No, though. Yeah, you're getting on this now." And but they all take good care of me. And every 4 years, I go take a stress test. When you get on a treadmill. Every 3 years, the other test that I don't want to talk about on air. It's unpleasant. It's not really.
That's with Dr. Dover, right? Dr. Dover, Dr. Ben.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it was. But I mean, actually, I've got a good doctor that does that too. The first time I didn't even know. I was like, "What? Really? It's over?" He's like, "Yeah, you're good." I said, like, "Oh shit, okay, well that's good to know." Anyway, people, we don't want to freak y'all out, but no, I've been real lucky so far. And then I got a good dermatologist, which I got lucky with because I had skin cancer in my nose, and he hooked me up with a good surgeon. That took real good care of it. So people, I'm just, when I was young, I never went to the doctor. I'm just honest with y'all. I go see my doctor. I see my primary every 7 months, and she does blood work every time she sees me. And then, the cardiologist I see every 2 to 3 years. Same thing with the rest of them. As long as nothing's going weird, they don't want to see me, but every couple of years just to check me out.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
it works. It works good, and
we need you around for a while longer.
Yeah. Well, I'm not through harassing people. I'm not going.
Exactly.
I've got plenty for. I just, we might have World War III going on. So wait, and then I was talking. Who was it the other night? Who wrote about weird World War III? I said, man, you may have to rewrite this book. You might have something to write about.
Wasn't that Sean?
Was it Sean who wrote? Yeah, it is Sean.
Yeah,
Mr. Tank. Yeah, it was Sean. Oh, by the way, Sean's with us, guys. He starts February 4th on Sunday.
I thought, it's 4th. Okay.
He said 4th last night. Let me check. We got the calendar here in front of me. Let me make sure. And I'm not giving y'all bogus information. No, it is not the 4th. It is the 7th. I'm sorry. He starts on January 7th, and he comes in, I think, I want to say it's 9 p.m. Well, it's early for him because he's a West Coaster, so it's going to be 7 his time. But I think it's 9 to 11.
So it's on Wednesday night then.
No, it's on Sunday. It follows. It's Chasing Prophecies first. Into the
Sunday
Night is
then
second.
is either the 4th or the 11th then.
Oh wait, then I'm on the wrong. It is the 4th. Then what am I in the wrong month? Oh, I am in the wrong month. Never mind, guys. I'm still in January. Shit. Yes, the 4th. Then He said the 4th last night. So y'all can catch him out. He's a week away. Go check him out. He's on. He comes with us on Sundays night. On Friday nights he's with us too. And I tell all the hosts, and I tell a lot of the guests who come on. Friday night's an open show. All we're talking about is politics mostly. Well, it's not even politics. It's more like current events would be a better way of saying it. Because we don't really get into politics of it too much. Usually it's something like, oh, did you see what that dumbass did, or what that dumbass did, or doesn't matter what party they're in. They're just all about the same to us. So it's fun. We call it Fair Game Friday, really, because we pick on everybody indiscriminately. Joe's a little easier because he's got issues, and of course Trump's easy because he's always into some shit. So that's the two easiest people to pick on right there. Between the two of them, they could take up an hour of a show. We try not to let them do that, but they could.
Well, since we got Canada here too, you always have Mr. Pink Shorts up there too.
Yeah, well, you got Trippy Trudeau, Mr. Pink Shorts, as I like to call him. I'm not kidding you. This is a true story. So about 3 years ago, I met the Outer Realm, Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, and they host the Outer Realm. And one lives in Niagara Falls, and one lives in Quebec or Ontario, whichever one is closest to Niagara. Yeah. Whichever. Yeah, I was gonna say which. Anyway, so she had told me about all this shit about Trudeau, and then they said, he could actually be Castro's son. I was like, really? So I checked in all of that, and while I was checking into it, I catch him in his jogging outfit with these really tight, hot pink shorts on, and his pink shirt. And I'm sure this was for like Breast Cancer Awareness Month or something. But dude, you're a world leader. You should not be running around in hot pink shorts. I'm just saying, it's fine if you're just some ordinary Joe out there, but no, it is. And it was too funny, and it just stuck in my head. So after that, he became Mr. Pink Shorts. And now he's Mr. Turdhead because somebody's been posting memes all over the U.S. and Canada. They got him in the toilet saying, how do you get rid of a turd that won't flush? I mean, the guy just can't get any respect. And I don't know him well enough to even hate on him. I let the girls, but no, we have 7 Canadian hosts in the network, and not one of them like him. They all dislike him. So, and they're all different walks and realms of life, even different politics. It's kind of strange to really. Yeah.
But one thing I'm curious about, Spencer, is so you've been a paramedic for a while. What's your best miracle story, or something where you've thought, like, you have a desire to help, and so the one that you felt the most satisfaction of actually helping somebody? You don't have to say actual names, but just what incident for you has been the most like rewarding that you've been able to do yourself?
I mean, let me think about that. I mean,
it seems like there have to be something.
Yeah, like there's a few things come to mind. Like, I haven't done anything crazy flashy stuff. It's not like in the movies or the TV shows. It's mostly pretty relaxed and nothing too crazy. But like childbirths are always interesting, and I've done a few, and it's pretty rare to actually do them around where I'm at. Right, you got to be pretty lucky to get a few. So I delivered a baby boy on my own. Like, I didn't have any backup. I was on my own that day in an SUV. So, and this lady who was, she'd been having contractions for several hours and it was imminent. So they called 911, and I was just around the corner in the rapid response SUV we use. So I got there first, and the actual ambulance and backup was about 20, maybe 30 minutes away. So a bit of time on my own there. So I got to basically deliver the baby on my own, treat the kid, make sure he was okay, get everything all nice and packaged up and all that jazz, right? And, so that whole process, it was scary as heck because I had never done one on my own before. So I was hoping,
that's cool.
I hope to God it's not a nuchal core. I hope I don't have to resuscitate the kid. I hope the baby's screaming when he comes out, and I don't have
just
to.
Just hope it pops out, right? Well, hey,
it was an uncomplicated birth, and I won't go into the details of it, but everything went well, and those feel good afterwards because you did something, and to be honest, I didn't need to be there. Like the kid didn't need to be saved. Like it's a physiological process that's been going on for ages, and
Right.
the mom does
Yeah.
the mom does all the work. I'm just there to make sure that if something goes wrong, you know, I can step in, right? But really, it's
Was she by herself, not with the partner or anything?
the whole family was there.
Oh,
It was a
okay.
party, but
Oh, good.
No pressure, man. No pressure.
I was the most anxious person there. Everyone
Oh,
else was
good.
pretty relaxed because they'd seen it happen before, but I was the newbie there, as it were. So, but those are satisfying, and
Yeah.
other kind, like a lot of these kind of calls we do, you don't get to see what happens, right? Because you're only with the patient for a short period of time. So I'd say the other ones where I feel like, you know, you did something is maybe you go into an anaphylactic shock one, and you can administer meds right away and turn them around, you know, you have a few of those, or myocardial infarctions, heart attacks, right? Like we can diagnose those in the field, like, you know, with our monitors, right? And determine if it's a STEMI or not. And then we can go right to the PCI center and have them put the angio and do the stents and everything within like an hour or less of us seeing the patient, right?
Amazing.
So
have you ever had to use the epinephrine and stuff like that straight into the heart and that type of stuff?
We don't do it straight into the heart. No, it's intramuscular. It's
really?
intramuscular.
Back when I used to know about, my dad had that kind of stuff, and back
everything's gotten pretty advanced these days.
That was back in the 70s. It was different then.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed, especially with like resuscitation over the last few decades, like how we run cardiac arrests, for example. We do give epinephrine, but it's intravenous in cardiac arrests, and it's diluted more so than regular epinephrine as well. It's 1 in 10,000 versus 1 in 1,000. So
yeah, because somebody realized, oh shit, we don't need that. Yeah, if we don't need that.
So,
and then CPR has changed too. Someone told me it's no longer breathing in the mouth type. Is that for public? Maybe not for you because you have your gas, your face mask pump, but how that's changed?
I don't, you know, I tend to like, I just keep track of the healthcare, like the healthcare side of it. Like I'm always doing ventilations because we have our BVMs and we can intubate and do all that stuff. So, but I have heard from people that have done, you know, like simple first aid courses in the public that they were told that, yeah, just compressions and no ventilation. So I've seen that creep in a bit. I'm not sure what the official guidelines are for the public though. I just go by the heart and stroke and the
learn all that.
Yeah, with cooties getting worse and worse these days, I guess.
I guess it was COVID related. Like they were all like, stay away from that and just do compressions. And it's true. It's understandable because the big thing that turns it around is good compressions and early defibrillation. Those are the two big things, right? That are predictors of a favorable outcome. So ideally, obviously, prioritize compressions. So because you have a certain amount of oxygen in your blood, right? Like even when you drop, you still have some dissolved and bound to your red blood cells, right? So it takes a bit of time for that to dissipate, but you need flow and perfusion. So unless, of course, it's a cardiac arrest that happened because you ran out of oxygen, then it's a different story. But let's not get into that.
Okay, good.
That's a whole different story. Yeah.
Unless it's a story that you've written, in which case we can talk about that. But otherwise, okay, good.
It's well, you know, it's crazy. I mean, one of the first things we learned in the Navy was how to resuscitate someone, and believe it or not, they taught us childbirth. I was freaking amazed. We were sitting in there.
Really?
Yeah, well, like this female nurse comes out with a baby, and we're like, "What the hell?" And then I get this video, and they're just running us through it, and I'm like, "And why are we learning this?" So I didn't know this in the military, but it is a 1 in 25 chance when you're in the field that you're going to deliver a baby.
Really?
Yeah, they say it all the time. They said when there's combat situations going on, they said a lot of times that the combat itself brings on birth, and a lot of times it's an early birth because I guess it's a fear factor. So I just didn't realize. I guess I never really thought about it. How much of what goes on in the world, as far as what we're fighting with, is so close to where people live, which I should realize because I was in the service. But for some reason, I guess because it doesn't happen here, it doesn't really set in my head. You know, I don't really think about people going through your neighborhood, like what's going on in Israel right now. I don't really think about that. And I could see with that kind of stuff going on, I could see people, bam, going into labor or early labor. So yeah, they actually taught us that. They actually even showed us how to slow down birth and all kind of stuff. And I was like, really? I said, he said, no, you're not a doctor. You're just a dumbass. Just pay attention. But they did teach us a lot. And it was a good course. And, for anybody coming out of service, as far as I know, all service people know CPR, or at least basic CPR, and some have a little more advanced courses. But They do teach you that. And then for some reason, every now and then in every 4 companies, I guess they pick 2 guys to guess they're going to be, they're just like advanced in it. They're you can't really call them anything. They just know a little bit more than everybody else does about it to try to help, like, treat wounds and stuff like that in the field. But they're not officially anybody. It's just something to help those companies survive until somebody gets there from that's wearing a red cross.
Ross. Yeah.
And so it's but they do teach you. And then in the Navy, it's different because they teach you stuff like how to deal with fires on ship, how to treat burns. You learn that in just regular old boot camp. It's just stuff you learn in boot camp. Because unfortunately, come to find out, it happens a lot. A lot more than we hear about in public life. I know on the Nimitz, there was at least 7 fires when I was on board. And thank God none of them were around ammo or fuel. But you're working with flammable materials all day long. So somebody, there's always some little 18-year-old dumb butt that makes a boo-boo. And sometimes it's an old dumb butt that makes a boo-boo. But anyway, it is stuff they want you to learn. I was surprised. I learned a lot. Most of it I've probably forgotten now because I'm old. But basic CPR, I think I still remember pretty well. And a few other things. You know what? Now, I did help somebody one time. They were having a heart attack. You know what I did? I took a nitro pill and put it on in my finger and stuck it under his tongue right there. And he revived in about 10 seconds. The doctor said, "You didn't give him CPR?" I said, "No, but I was right up there this दिन. I said, I happened to have a bottle of those nitro pills. They gave me to carry him around for the first 6 months. I think he gave them to me more to make me feel better than to use them. Because he told me once I got the stent, he said, "You back to normal. Get the hell out of my office. Don't come back and see me for 4 or 5 years. There ain't nothing wrong with you." He said, "You got 100% blood flow. Go away." I'm kidding you. That's just how he told me too. I'm like, "Doc," he said, I said, "Man, you just put stuff in my heart." He said, "It's a different world now, Joe. Go on." I said, "When can I go back to work?" He said, "Tomorrow." I'm like, "Really?" I said, "You're in a hospital." I said, "Yeah, I'm in a hospital for 4 days trying to figure out what's wrong with me." And then I said, "You can't even give me a week." He said, "No, you can go back to work tomorrow." I was like, I wanted to kick you, man. I really did. But it is different. I see my mom got 3 and my aunt got 2. And then they all were back working within 2 or 3 days. I was like, it's definitely a marvel. Because I know my grandfather, eventually heart attacks killed him. He'd still be alive. There'd have been stents back then. Science just keeps growing. Things keep getting better. Eventually, they'll have a cure for cancer, and we'll all live to be 200.
It's funny when I had because I do my medical checkups too, and I had my last one. I had my throat for my crush. She was like, "Nice looking carotids."
That's a good compliment.
Yeah,
a good compliment. Nice and clear, no plaque buildup there.
Yeah. It was funny, just like you hear, nice looking. You don't normally think it's going to be
it's funny,
an internal body organ, but there we go.
I remember the last checkup I got with my last stress I did with my doctor. He said, "Well, you good on a stress test." He said, "The girl said you were just jogging along." I said, "Yeah." I said, I can probably jog for 7 or 8 minutes without killing myself." He started laughing. And so he calls me the next day. Well, Durst calls me the next day. Doctor wants to talk to him. I go, "Oh shit, something came back I didn't like." He said, "I never get this. I wanted to tell you." He said, "All of your blood work is right in the middle where it's supposed to be." He said, "I ain't seen this in a decade, Josh." So I called you personally. I'm like, "Doc, don't be doing it. I thought I was freaking dying or something, man." Because usually when everything's right, I'll get a call from the nurse. "You're good. Don't worry about it." Something like that. And I don't hear from the doctor. So when he said that, I was like, uh-oh. It was nice to hear, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now, Spencer, on your writing, so have you always been writing? Is this something you started as a kid in elementary school and up through junior high, or is it something that came up later on as an outlet for you to vent, offsetting your medical stuff that you do?
So the writing, it wasn't something I always did. Like, I'd say reading preceded the writing itself.
Yeah.
Like I was reading, ever since early elementary school, and I was reading, Terry Brooks, for example. I was reading all of his stuff in
the Bulgaria is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I was reading all
books. That wasn't that. Sorry, that's another one. That was Edding. But anyway, sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was like reading all of his books in like grade 6, 7, 8, like before even getting out of elementary school. So my mom had a big collection of fantasy novels, right? So I was turning through that. So I wrote 2 things in high school, but it was just for like English assignments, right? In English class. So just wrote 2 things for that, but it was okay. I kind of had fun with it. And it wasn't until really university that I started picking up writing as basically as a hobby race at first, right? I had some ideas and, maybe some of my favorite authors at the time wrote some stories, but they finished their series in a way that made me angry. I'm like, I want to write something of my own, and and decide the ending for myself or whatever. And
Yeah.
so it kind of started from there, just writing whatever came to mind. And I wrote a few long things. I wrote a bunch of short stories, whatever. And then I eventually got into the contest there and just started submitting. I think in 2017, I think is when I started. I think, or 18, one of those years. I just started chipping away at it.
That's pretty quick. I mean, 4 stories a year, or just once or twice a year. I'm always curious. See, this is the thing with me. I've been since I've started hanging out with these guys. I've been tracking how old everybody is and when people are winning, and it's actually starting to look kind of strange to me. So wait. Well, no, we'll talk about it. But I mean, so 4 times, 8 times, 12 times, 16 times. I'm just going 4 times a year is what I'm doing. So. Because a lot of people, when I talk to them, they're around their 14th attempt when they win. Now, don't get me wrong. I've met quite a few who have won Uno number 10 and way down Uno number, way down the line. But, who's the longest I think I've met? Preston Dennett was the longest I think I've met with 42 times.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's it, So, but he writes. I mean, he writes all the time. He's constantly writing something. So, it's kind of different. So, you remember how many times it took you? A dozen?
I didn't submit every time each year. I think it was maybe. I'm trying to count like all the honorable mentions and silvers and rejection ones. I mean, maybe
please don't write back. I'm just teasing. They would never do that. I would, but they wouldn't. Yeah. I'd be like, please don't write back.
I'm not sure. I'd have to actually check my profile, but it was like around like 9 or 10.
Well, that's getting closer to the average.
Yeah,
it's just something, because when I started asking people ages and I started asking people how many times, it just seemed to be the majority of them seemed to fall in this little group, which surprised me. It didn't really surprise me that the illustrators are younger and the authors are a little older. That didn't surprise me as much because, a lot of the illustrators seem to be under 30. A lot of the authors seem to be over 30, but it's, I don't think it really matters. It just seems to be when they hit the lucky one might be the best thing to say. I don't, or maybe.
Well, David Henriksen, who won this time here, he just turned 70. Yeah. So we've had all time. And then we had a winner from several years ago who was really happy because he was presented by Nancy Cartwright on the stage. He was like 73. And so he said, my grandkids are going to be really happy to see, they're going to be like, they're going to think I'm cool.
And I think we have somebody like 68 or 69 a year, maybe the first year I get confused, but it's, well, the first year I was with them guys, they were coming back from COVID. So they doubled up. They had 2 years worth of winners. Oh, I had a blast. Because there was just so many people to talk to. They were everywhere. It's like, rats running around catching them.
Now.
I'm just teasing. It's why we got you though, because I asked this to everybody. I probably asked you this before, but we talk about the 24-hour story, and the reason I asked is one. First off, it's one of my favorite things because I get to watch y'all. Thank God I ain't doing it. I wouldn't have any hair left in my head. The little bit I got now, it'll all be gone. But I enjoy watching it, and it always surprises me, to be totally honest, the quality of the stories that come out of this. I got to be honest about that because let's be honest, you're writing something in 24 hours. I figure most of it's going to be just goofball, kind of goofy stuff. But I find that a lot of it actually turns out to be good stories that even goes on later on to be turned into something else. So for you, process, I mean, were you like one of the ones that waited till 4 hours before and just wrote the story, or did you agonize over it, or you just said, okay, I got this under control? Or because I'm really curious.
I started out with with one idea, and I got partway through that, and then it just fell apart around maybe 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I'm not going to, basically it snowballed where I'm like, this is going to be like 20 or 30,000 words. I can't finish this on time. So I actually had a second idea that I flipped onto, and I basically panic wrote it for until maybe 2 in the morning or so. But so it was a bit chaotic at first, I would say. Yeah, like I started out with an idea that I liked, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then it kind of fell flat, and I didn't have time to really play around with it and make it work, right? because the clock was ticking. So I
Right.
just went on with I went with a lighter idea that I could get done faster, and just basically just hunched over in the hotel room in the darkness while the artist who was in my room just tried to get sleep, and I was like hunched in the corner like a gremlin working on the laptop trying to get it done. So, but I finished it. It was satisfying. It was satisfying to get it done.
There's a few people told me that, and there's a couple told me they had gone through 3 ideas, and it was 4 in the morning. They were like, "Oh shit, what am I gonna do?" People, yeah. Well, if y'all win, people, and you get invited, you'll know what we're talking about. Because I always talk about this kind of half-heartedly, because I like the audience to kind of guess what we're actually still talking about. But it's amazing to watch. I just started. Matter of fact, yesterday I just started posting pictures for the last 3 years of that particular night. My phone got stolen, but thank God I had online storage, because I found most of it was still online the other day when I went and jumped into it. So I've been actually playing with it and putting it up there. And of course, I've got, great pictures of some of the people who worked there. So we're going to post those.
Moving on. Okay, so now Spencer.
John, what do you mean? You always look good. One of the best pictures I took was of John. I probably got his next profile picture last time I was there.
What's your favorite? What was your favorite part of the workshop? Or actually, the workshop consists of several essays that were written by Eoin Hubbard in the 30s and 40s that were then converted and made into the workshop by Algis Budrus originally, and now taught by Tim and Jody. So, what was any particular essay that was your favorite?
A lot of them are very, very applicable, right? Like very just practical and down to earth on the process. I liked his one that was, about the elements of the story, right? The building blocks of it, of like the components of a short story, right? Just to give you it's a great starting point, right? Yeah. But the one I really liked was, I forgot what he titled it, but it was the one where he was describing he was showing 2 different ways of writing a scene. I think it was the one where the guy was sneaking.
One suspense. The one on.
The suspense one. Yeah. And he was like, and he was contrasting the flat, non-exciting prose that was, you didn't feel into it, and then he showed the other one, which you were.
Franzawi.
You felt it. You were in it, and it was a great, basically a little mini workshop in itself. Of this is how this is writing that doesn't create like whatever feeling you want, suspense, excitement, fear, whatever. Like this here doesn't create an emotional response in the reader, but this here grips you, right? And trying to look at, okay, how does that work, etc. So
and these are essays that Spencer's talking about. They're on the free online writing workshop, which is there at writersoffuture.com. And when winners go now to the workshop, they're expected to finish that course. So now they're going to get the next level up of really how that stuff applies, how it works. And everybody is given a copy of the book Fear to read, which is one of Eoin Hubbard's stories that he wrote in 1940, which was considered by several of the greats as the granddaddy of modern psychological thrillers. But now you get into how to make a living as an author. That's what the workshop now is. How do you make it as an author, and what do you do? The business of writing, which is never addressed anywhere else. So that's something that's really important that a person gets. So what was your biggest take home after doing that week-long workshop?
Like that's a tough question. Like you mean just the whole thing, like the biggest take home there?
Yeah.
Oh, that is very tough.
That's unfair. Okay, so what are some of the things that stay up, that bubble up when I ask the question then?
So like one of the big things is, I guess, like Mr. Sawyer, for example. Sawyer was great, right? His whole spiel, he was all about, these are all different approaches to writing. Like all the different coaches and mentors are all sharing their knowledge and experience with us. But he was also, very clear that, these are all different ways of doing it, and you pick and choose what works for you, what creates the results for you as well. That there's no one perfect way to write. It's a very varied and multifaceted thing, and you need to find what works specifically for you, and everyone has a unique combination of those things. So it's a very much a journey in itself, discovering how to create that harmony with that creativity in yourself, right? You can't just I can't be Stephen King, I can't be Mr. Sawyer, I can't be I can't be any of these people, but I can be me. And discovering from all these tools and all these things I learned from these other people, what's the unique amalgamation of all this stuff that makes me a better writer, but not an imitator of anyone else but myself, right?
Mhm.
So I really liked his talk, and I have a big Word document with all these notes from all the different workshops, and it's just a pile of stuff. But it's hard to pick really what hit me the most there. But really the soul of it is to create your own journey as a writer, and all the lessons from all the people that came before you can be part of that as well.
Yeah.
So it's cool that way.
That's good.
Very cool.
And then I know Joe, one time a year he gets to wear his fancy tuxedo that he bought for
Right.
us.
Well,
So
you know,
what was the gala like for you? So I mean, Joe he definitely has this, but what was it like for you, that the Hollywood Bash?
Oh,
You had a
that
good time?
was incredible. Yeah, I've never done anything like that. Needless to say, that was incredible. Wow, another thing I don't know where to start with, right? Like just the whole experience of getting the tuxedo and going there with all your new friends, frankly, right? All the writers, and going through that together, and
Yeah, lots of
the,
press there. Yeah, lots
press,
of people.
the performances, the actual venue was gorgeous as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just going through all the speeches and the awards. And I also had one of my best friends there too. He's from Canada, but he moved to San Diego, and he and his girlfriend managed to come down and come sit at my table too. So that was really nice. We grew up other side of the continent, and we're both here for small world, right? So it was just a great experience. Just everything about it was great.
So let me ask you this. I know I've asked this to everybody who's been there. So when you're set, because you're sitting at your table, you're watching everybody. I know y'all rehearse and practice, but so when you heard your name, just bam. I mean, what was the thought? Okay, I'm just jump up. I'm gonna stand up, walk up. Was there just like an exhilaration of emotion? I'm just nosy because it's just one of these things. Being in the media myself, I'm always curious how people react to stuff.
There was a fair amount of stress, I would say.
There's always a little less of that.
Don't screw this up. Don't embarrass. Don't trip over the stairs going up, right? That kind of thing. So, but I'd say it was a mix of a bit of consternation, anxiety, because it's like, whoa, I've never been on a stage in front of all these cameras and stuff, right? But also there was just exhilaration and a lot of dopamine going around, right? A lot of dopamine going around,
Yeah.
and some some adrenaline too, for people to say. So joy mixed, like excitement and joy mixed with a bit of terror as well, because anytime you step way outside your comfort zone, which that was certainly the case, you kind of feel that. But afterwards, it felt great, especially when I was done it. I was like, wow, that was cool. So, yeah.
Looking good, looking sharp. I know. I remember, it's one of those things that when you see people stand, because sometimes when I watch people when they stand up, saying, "Oh, are they going to make it?" They look a little wobbly when they first start, but everybody seemed to puff up and do it, and everybody seemed to do a good job up on it. So, I mean, you're standing there, you're staring at all the rest of us. We're all staring at you. So, it's one of those things. The emotions are just running all over you. What's that, Janice? Actually, you want to see him on the gate? No, it's available. It's available on our sites, and it's available on
YouTube.
Galaxy.
Right
on
on the
YouTube.
Writers of Future page on. Yeah,
so you can get it on Writers of Future, your YouTube, or you can get it on UPRN's YouTube. Yeah, it's on both of them. Yeah, you can find it there. Yeah, it's posted.
The whole gala, the whole thing.
Yeah.
The whole thing, start to finish, is up there. Yeah, no, we carry it live when they're doing it. Yeah, we always carry it live. And this year, it's actually been advertised quite a bit more, so I'm expecting a much larger audience.
I look forward to seeing it this year too, and to see the artist who did my story, Alexandra. I look forward to seeing, because she'll get her award this year, right? Like she'll be able to. Yeah. So I'm gonna watch it.
And when we do the big reveal, the art reveal to all the authors, even though you've already seen it, we'll work out a FaceTime or something like that, so you can meet her, and or did you already do that last year? Did you FaceTime her last year?
Not at the gala itself, but afterwards. Like, I've been in touch with her, and we've like chatted on social media, and then we did like a Skype call and stuff too. So, but it would be cool anyway, though, if we could make it work.
Yeah, we absolutely can. And then just so you know, too, on this 1 March, we're doing the cover reveal for Volume 40. We're really ramping up on this one because 4 decades of doing this. We're just shy of 1,000 winners over the last 40 years. And So Dan Dos Santos painted the cover. So we're really anxious to be able to do that.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it's an amazing piece of art that he did.
Because he was harassing Tom Wood, you know that, right? He said my cover's going to be better than your cover. Y'all have to be there, guys. These guys are friends, so don't take it personal.
Yeah,
it's
no, but he's like Dan Dos Santos is an amazing artist. He was just the what is it? Marvel that does the Spider-Man and all that stuff? Is that Marvel or?
No, it originally was DC. I don't know what it is right now.
Maybe it's DC then, but he just did all the a whole series of playing cards, like 150 pieces of art he created, and there's some special books for it. He was their artist for the year, and just really he was working on it for like 2 or 3 years, doing all these paintings, and it finally launched earlier this year. I couldn't get him as a cover artist before because he was just committed. He had these deadlines to make on his projects, which he couldn't talk about. But then when it released, he felt, okay, good, now I can do a cover. Yeah, but he's amazing.
Yeah, because what was that, Chris? No, yes. Originally it was DC, then I think Disney bought it, and then Disney bought Marvel, so now it's Marvel. Don't ask me. Yeah, it's Marvel for sure now because our last 2 Marvel movies he was actually in them. So
okay, I'm curious. Spencer, have you been to Emma Caffrey's ranch that she had? Have you been there or seen it in Ireland?
Emma Caffrey? No, I don't think so. No.
Anyway, she used to be a judge. She was a very famous fantasy artist, and she was one of the women that actually made the major strides into the female entry into science fiction and fantasy as an author.
Really?
Yeah, she became a judge in volume 2. So she was the second year, and she gave as Greg Benford, who just wrote an essay because he's the founding judge. She said she made the difference in it being the judges being a bunch of old white stodgy men, as judges. When she
that's true back then.
Came on board. Yeah,
that's true back then.
She was amazing. Yeah.
What do you mean? Oh no, who is it? That's her son Tim. Yeah,
Todd McCaffrey.
Yeah. I've actually met him a few times. Actually, yes, he's as insane as I am. So that's saying a lot.
That's a fact.
That's it. We have a lot of fun when he's there. Though. I love his geek talk. So it's always good. It's sparkly, pretty. People, y'all can watch it. I can't believe how many people are telling me in this stupid messenger that I haven't seen the game. Look, it is available on both sites. In a little while, I'll go find a damn thing and come and put it in the chat.
But we'll make sure also that through Joe, and Joe will be doing it quite a bit too, on April 25th, it'll be broadcast live. You can see it there. And we have the UK's top swing band will be performing too. So they're putting together a whole show before it starts. Excellent. We'll have a 20-minute show from them as well. Yeah.
At the gala?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Nice.
Yeah. It's gonna start a bit early because it's on a Thursday night instead of a Friday night this year. So it's on a Thursday night. And so we're gonna make sure we have enough time for people to still do the signing before leaving to go home because it's a work night instead of a weekend night.
Mm-hmm.
No, James, you got to be invited. I'm sorry, dude. Unless you know somebody there, you got to be invited. You could probably try to, bribe John, but I don't think it's going to help you because then he'll smack him. No, just win. You can't go this year anyway. If you won, you'd be next year. But you can submit away and be in 41.
Yeah,
win and be in 41. So galaxypress.com if you want to buy anything, writersofthefuture.com if you got something you want to submit, if you want to take the free writers course or listen to any of the stuff, that's where you go. They got oodles and boodles of stuff over there. It's really clean, pretty white site too. It's a nice clean site. And Galaxy Press, if you want to buy anything, Galaxy Press is where you go. Yeah, that's where all the books are at. All the audio books are there. The pads, the thumb drives, all of that's there. So that's where you go. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, Denise, you know what? I need a thumb drive. I need to refill my new.
Joe.
What, man?
We're interviewing Spencer about books.
Spencer don't mind.
Sticking out her hand, going, please, arms for the poor show host.
Man, no, I need a thumb drive from y'all, not from just any regular thumb drive. Just go look on their website at Galaxy Press. They got thumb drives. So you need to get me one of those. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. I can't help it. I got to replace what got stolen. You know how that shit goes. See how made me cuss. Look at that. Dang it. No, we don't care about Marvel. No, we don't. DeSantis is great. He's going to be fun. Him and Tom always pick on each other, so it's fun hanging out with him. And they're always these guys when they talking to people are great. I've listened to both of them. Well, they're both illustrators, by the way. Whoever just asked me that, but um, they're great to listen to. They have a wealth of knowledge, and then if Echo gets in there, I mean, Jesus, you pretty much got the illustrator industry covered.
Yeah.
Between the three of them, I mean, they pretty much dominate. I just a lot of good material. And you can go to any, it's Echo Turnit. You can go to her website and find her, and Tom Woods and his website, and what is it, Dan DeSantis? Is that
Dan
his?
Santos, yeah.
Yeah, Dan DeSantis. So you can go to his website and check it out as well. All three of them have been on the network. You can go find them on any of our YouTubes. They've been interviewed. They've been interviewed by John on Writers of the Future and by us. Actually, there's a really good one. It's Tom Wood, Echo Chernick, and Larry Elmore, and I got them all on a couch packed together with a little white snowball mic asking them questions. It's a great interview. Y'all should go check it out. It's a lot of fun. It's a really good interview. But anyway, enough about all of that. So Spencer, I mean, you got to give me something. I need a book, man. I need something. You got to write me something, dude. Come on, I can't take this. I know all these writers now. I was a matter of fact on my other show on News and the Flip Side week before last. I was bitching. I said, I must know 500 writers now, and I ain't got a damn book to read. I'm like, there's something wrong with this. I said, there's something wrong with this picture, man. I mean, I get them all.
I've got like 20 or 30 short stories sitting around, but they're in that endless cycle of sending to magazines and getting them rejected. Right? It's endless.
Well, yeah, that's part of it, unfortunately.
But I am working on, again, like I'm working on like the series I wrote a few years ago, and I'm revising that, and that's your, near future sort of.
I'll be looking for that one. Just let me know when it's out. I'll buy it.
We'll see what happens with it, but I'm seeing what I can do with it. And there's always a Children of Desolation, which I'm slowly but steadily getting into, and every book's its own challenge to write. I would say that's for sure, but it's something I want to finish. That's for sure.
Plus, there's a bunch of fellow winners too. From I don't know if at least you can join in there. Well, with they started their David Hankins, and because he novelized his, but was it 37, 38 where they created their own publishing house? The Murder Birds.
Oh, Murder Birds. Okay. I was thinking of another one, like Calendar of Fools. Something.
Calendar of Fools. That's the name of the publishing house. Murder Birds was the first book.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're definitely that might be someplace too, because when you get your book ready to have an outlet to be able to get published, because they're solving their problem of how to get myself published and not just doing the straight self-publishing route, but then they can go through creating their own publishing house, which is what Kevin Anderson did, which is what Dean Wesley Smith did, which is what a few of our judges have done to create their own publishing houses so that they can be an indie instead of self. And where they had problems with traditional, because traditional will take one book a year and it has to be a certain size and they control a lot more than they were necessarily willing to give up, to concede. So that's also a potential resource for you, to reach out to them to that as well.
Well, let me ask both of y'all this question. I would think traditional publishers are going to probably be in trouble here. I mean, eventually, with everybody Indian and all these other authors coming out and self-publishing, I mean, as these people get more known and more famous and their books start to sell more, and if they're not in publishing houses, it's got to hurt them. I mean, long term, it's got to hurt them. I noticed there's not as many bookstores as it was just 10 years ago, like where I live. The Barnes Nobles and basically Borders and all of them, there was one every, 15 miles. Now there's like one in the whole town. That's it. And, there's a lot of independent bookstores, mind you, down in the French Quarter and all that sell all sorts of weird kind of books, but some are old books, some are new books, but it's not like the old days where you could walk in, you could go to like 10 different bookstores and with a 5-mile range. It's not like that anymore. And Barnes and Nobles pretty much took over down here and run everybody else off. There's one Books a Million, but it's way out in the east, and that's it. And where there used to be 10 stores, now there's 2. So I'm just thinking, I mean, these guys, y'all eventually, and then we got to contend with AI in another 10 or 20 years. I don't know if these big houses are going to be able to do that anymore. I don't know how they're going to do it as this just grows.
Well, the big houses are still the big houses. They do. For my next interview, I'm going to actually research to see what the percentage is, but they're still like easily 60, 70% of
No,
the
yeah, I don't doubt
market.
that.
They're huge. They're billion-dollar enterprises. And so they've got that. The main thing, though, because you got like the best-selling book of 2023 was Harry, and it sold however millions of copies. That's just, you're not going to get that from an indie or self-published distribution, because they have so many lines that they can control on distribution. They can put that book into supermarket stores, as well as the bookstores, as well as the online outlets too. So they're still big. They're still making the money. It's interesting though. When I went to New York last fall, and I visited some of the different my publishing relations there, and I met with the head of Publishers Weekly, and I met with him. I went to his office and met with him. Nobody goes into work anymore. They're all working from home. And when I went there, there's all of the offices there. There was one other person that was filing mail. Otherwise, it was just him. Everybody else, any meetings that had to do with editors, they'd have a Zoom set up in their conference room. And that's how I did it. And I went to go see Library Journal. Same thing. That my person there, who is the head sales rep for the Library Journal, came in, and all the meetings he set up via Skype or via the Skype channel there, because nobody came to work anymore. He said these big publishing houses, these huge, however many stories, 80 stories, 90 stories tall buildings, they can't get out of the leases, and
30 minutes.
They've got one or two floors out of everything that they've rented, and they're paying like however millions of dollars, like $100 million a year for rent, and they're only filling up part of the rooms there just because people work from home now. So it's a new world right now, and
don't worry, that's going to end. You don't have to worry about that. They're getting rid of people working at home. That's more and more companies. The main reason why is, and this is true for every company that has people are not in an office, the quality of the work decreases. They've done a dozen studies now, and they're like, no, and even simple stuff like customer service they found has decreased immensely when taken out of an office setting. A lot of times you'll call, you hear a woman's baby in the background crying, or the kid's got a kid running around, or the dog barking. Nobody wants to hear that, especially when they're calling to complain or gripe about something, or when you're calling for tech support and you hear the TV playing in the background. It's just nobody wants to hear that kind of stuff. And the more you lose that office setting, the more people think they can get away with shit.
Yeah.
So I've seen some really big companies. Apple said all their employees are coming back. Pretty much all the big tech companies said, no, this is pretty much enough of this. And they want them back. And that's like what John was saying, that when you have these big office buildings and you're not using them, either sell them and let everybody stay at home or keep them, because really and truly for companies, buildings like that are an investment. That's money down the line. They were just talking about a company the other day. I forgot which one it was, but just in property, they had $33 billion. So even if the company got in trouble, this is all bought and paid for property they have.
Yeah.
So that's money in the bank is what that is. But somebody just sent me this. Marsha, where are you from, Marsha? New York City. Well, hello, New York. She said she's wondering why this has happened. She said, according to the census, only less than half the population actually read leisure anymore in the country, and that seems to be decreasing 7 to 10% per decade. So at that rate, there'll be less than there won't even be any book sales. It'll have to be something else. So what is it? What I guess what I'm looking for here is what is it? What media is replacing this? Is it
got
just
video
internet?
games? You got video games. People are into that type of stuff. And
I'm just wondering if you're going to see if it doesn't say anything about audiobooks. I'm kind of wondering if there's going to be a sort of a transition where maybe 20% of what used to be traditional readers may turn out to be audiobook
yeah,
listeners.
well, I mean, but it's still only a couple percent of the book market. Audiobooks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a couple percent. But you've got, as long as you've got a culture that's being intentionally created with a vocabulary of maybe 200 words, That's why you have so much profanity, because they don't know words
Yeah,
to
'cause
be
they don't
able
know
to
anything
give
else,
their
yeah.
feelings. So you've got that now, and it's just you keep on dumbing down, which is obviously somebody's strategy to dumb down America and maybe other places too. You're going to have they read,
Well, I know
maybe they'll read comics, but otherwise they play video games. They want to watch
a lot of
movies.
videos, a lot of movies. Well, I know in the 80s we were on an increase in readers, and now all of a sudden in the 2000s, 2024, we're on a decrease. And I'm just, I mean, I'm not super concerned as long as half the population is still reading, but it still worries me that what the other half is doing. I mean, leisure reading is fine, and I know, unfortunately, for a lot of people these days, they're doing a lot of reading at work, so they don't want to read at home. They're reading a lot of garbage that, it just burns them out and they don't want to read it. Well, that's all fine. But what they don't understand is the reader is what helps us get the book to the movie stage. Without the reader, the book ain't never get, unless it's just somebody who's famous already, or somebody just picks up a book and says, oh my God, it's just too unbelievable, we're going to make a movie out of it. Usually they go through, become a bestseller, whatever, and then become a movie later on. And I don't want to lose that spectrum of movies and TV series we get, because all of a sudden we got a bunch of lazy people in our country. It's because, I mean, really, quality of anything, video or audio lately has been, saying this politely, lacking is what I'll say. I'm
not a movie person. I'm do books, but it's interesting. I was with my doctor. I'm doing a handling on my knee, and I messed up when I ran a marathon several years ago. And so I was concerned because I do a lot of radio. I do my podcast, and I do TV, and I'm always concerned about remembering all the different factoids, all the different things, and remembering correctly. So I said, because I got this podcast, I read almost a book. I read basically a book a week to prepare for it. And he said, one of the best things you can do to make sure you have your faculties with you all the way as you get older is reading. It forces your brain and all the processes there to work. And so that's one of the best things you can do to maintain your facilities and not have problems with any type of memory deficit and that type of stuff, which so many people are experiencing now. So that's one of the best things you can actually do is read.
And same goes for additional to that is physical exercise, resistance training, all of those things as well actually have a very important brain link too to healthy cognitive, basically your cognitive health as you age too.
Yeah, some all them endorphins in your brain. All that helps.
Lifting weights and reading,
Well, you've got the new joggers now with the little keyboards on them. You can watch little sceneries or watch movies or read a book. And what do you mean, Jessica? You can't read and jog at the same time. You can't. So you got to be sitting in the chair to read, is what you're telling me, right? Okay, I understand that. Some people can't be trying to read the book, but
not while you're driving. No, you don't.
No. Well, she says she's got one of those. She likes to jog at home, but she can't seem to focus enough to read while she's jogging. You
can listen there.
Yeah, she said that, and then she found some texting that makes the text like 5 times larger. See, but the problem is it's only like 2 sentences on the screen, so it takes forever to read. I'm like, whatever, chick. Just sit, go enjoy your little jog. No, my doctor told me not to jog. He said I can do all the walking I want, but not to be jogging. He said no. No, not because of my heart, because I got knees and backs and all kind of stuff. I was crazy when I was young. That's all I can say. Yeah, so there's lots of aches and pains there. Actually, they take good care. There's no aches and pains, just problems. I can't be doing certain things.
Stephanie, I'm curious also with Spencer on Tipsy, because I have to leave at 1:45. I'm invited to a birthday party.
Oh, happy birthday!
It's a state senator, Anthony Portantino, who's running for Congress, and so it's mostly a fundraiser for him in the guise of a birthday party. But I was invited to that, so he's going to be hopefully he's replacing Adam Schiff as the
I'll throw a freaking party if somebody replaces Schiff.
So anyway, so he's trimming out. So I met him at the Halloween Christmas break because we're the host for that. So, but I was curious for you, Spencer, because I know we're getting close to the last half hour here, or 20 minutes or so. What would you give as a tip for a writer trying to make it? Because you have an intense job as a paramedic. You've got an intense objective to become a medical doctor, and you're writing. So what would you give in terms of a tip or advice for someone who's got a lot of activities going on, but who still wants to be a writer?
Well, I'd say my best dressed advice for that would be you got to be a bit unreasonable about it, right? Like you got to carve out that time, no matter how little time that is, right? Because the thing about writing is you can't just write one day and then not do it for 6 months. And then, you can't be like that. You got to be consistent, and consistency is how you grow that muscle. It's how you grow anything, right? Is every day or as often as possible, right? So even if it's for, and I apply this to working out too, like even if it's just for 5, 10, 20 minutes a day, I do it. And so the habit's always there, right? The habit's alive, even if it's just a short amount of time. I kept the habit alive.
Right.
And the habit of writing is what enabled me to, become a somewhat decent writer, so or an award-winning author in the context.
There you go. I like the second.
Yeah. Well, you got to be humble about it, but yeah, just to carve out that time, no matter how little it is. And in some ways, you do have to get your priorities sorted out and be more efficient for sure. Like not scroll on Twitter for 3 hours or whatever. I'm guilty of that too. You get scrolling and time can fly, right? But really just sitting down and making that determination that I want to write, I need to write, I want that to be part of my life, and I'm taking no prisoners, right? I'm going to carve out this time, and nothing else is going to touch it. I don't care what, right? Like you got to be, close the door, and just nothing can get in for a little bit, no matter how long that is. And as you entrench that habit more and more, you'll probably start suddenly finding more time to do it, So
that makes sense.
But you can't the biggest thing is just to not say, oh, I'll do it someday, right? It's when I have more time, or when this happens, or when that happens, right? People tell me that. Yeah. People tell me that all the time about all sorts of things, right? And I see a lot of people that are, at the end of their lives, and a lot of them tell me their regrets, and they're like, oh, I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that, and I don't want that to be me with regards to writing, for example.
I hear that.
So, or if anything that I want to try. Right. So,
yeah. So Joe, you listen to that advice there. You take that advice from Spencer and finish that book of yours.
Like, how busy my life is. Look, see,
there we go. He's heard that so many times. That's just what Spencer was talking about.
Yeah, but my baby needs love.
So make the time, no matter how little it is, make that a habit. Don't put it off for tomorrow, and start where you are, wherever you are. Just start now, And who cares? And if it stinks, it stinks. But you keep going, and you find that it gets better and better,
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
It's dealing with life every day. You just got to keep on plugging away. What's that? Banana, whatever that name is. That's just ridiculous. Anytime your name is like 5 things long, I'm not going to say it. I'm just telling you ahead of time. So what do you got for us? We ain't got much time, so you better spit it out quick. Oh, well, sorry, yeah, no. So anyway, crazy girl over here. She just wants to know who your personal favorite authors. And I ask this of a lot of authors. Sometimes I get an answer. Sometimes I go, I don't exactly know. But anyway, she really wanted to know who your personal authors are, and if you have any movies or books you would personally recommend to a single woman, 30 years old with no kids and bored out of her mind.
Whew, wow, no one's ever asked me that kind of question.
And while he's answering that, I've got to sign off here now. So thank you very much. Good seeing you again,
John, I'll talk to you soon, baby.
I'll talk to you a bit later. Okay, great. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, be sure to check John out. writersoffuture.com, people.
Yep.
All right. So the question, like my favorite authors and what books I recommend?
Yeah, she said what you would recommend for a 30-year-old woman who's no kids, not married, and bored out of her mind. That's exactly how she wrote it.
It depends what your tastes are as a writer, right? But like my favorite authors are if you want to be occupied for a long time on a lot of very long, well-written books, I mean, Brandon Sanderson has certainly got that very well put out, I would say. So he's probably my favorite author, his his various different series are all very well written and fantastic read. I'm reading them right now still because there's so many of them. So, but other authors, my second favorite would be Brian McClellan, and he writes more of the Powder Mage series or the trilogies, and that's more sword and sorcery fantasy, if you call it, more from in the view of flintlocks and sailing ships, so like 1700s flintlock fantasy, if you're into that kind of thing. So those are my two favorite authors, but it depends on your taste, right? Like I don't know what this
so a banana, whatever the hell your name is. What do you like? I know if you listen to us, it's got to be a fantasy or sci-fi or something along those. So you just like escapist stuff. So as long as it's something that's not real, you're okay. I understand. Okay, she said as long as it's not real and it gives her an escape. That's what she's looking for. She said she just wants to pick up a book, sit back and read it, and just forget what the hell's going on around her and just disappear into the book. Well, I don't know, chick. That's a tall. I mean, there's lots of books I'm sure that can do that. And I'm sure
lots. Yeah, like the ones that did it for me would be, again, by those two offers I mentioned there, and by extension, be it Terry Brooks or Brent Weeks or a whole bunch of other ones, right? Like I got lost in those books, and maybe check them out and see if you get lost in it too. You might be surprised. That's all I can say on that.
Yes, there's a lot of good books out, but if you don't go pick one up and read it, you're not going to know. Well, to be honest with y'all, I mean, if you're just looking for some fast reading, I would pick up a couple of the anthologies.
True, yeah.
Yes. Well, I say fast reading. For some people, it's going to be faster than others, but the stories are not real long. There's 12 to 14 per book, and they're good stories, and they're going to be different. They're not all going to be the same genre. It's going to and I noticed they try to put them in the book so they kind of play along with each other as a way the genres stack up, but they're not the same genre. So you might have some fantasy, you might have some punk, you might have some steampunk, you might have some deep sci-fi, you might have some near fantasy, you might have some near sci-fi. I mean, it's just depends on what the person. I forgot how many genres you can write in for Writers of Future. I'd have to go look on the website to be sure, but it's at least 8.
Yeah, it's like speculative fiction in the broad sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell people when they're writing, think of like PG-13. PG-17 will work, but PG-13 would be even a better way to do it.
Yeah,
Somewhere in that group is where you should be when you submit a book to them. Well, because if it's really heavy gore, really heavy sex, they're not going to accept it. They're going to kick it back.
That happened to me too. That happened to me.
Well, because you don't know until you try. You get into a book and you get this train of thought and you're moving along with it. And then somebody says, "Oh, you can't do that. You got to remove that from your train of thought." It's not exactly the easiest thing to do, especially if it's something that's needs to be in there to move the story to the next point. Well, Bobby, I couldn't even tell you how many books are on the planet right now. Over 1 billion for sure. Over 1 billion for sure. Yes, if you go worldwide, there's more than 1 billion books on the planet. Yes, I'm talking about individual books. I'm not talking about stories. If we start talking about how many books there are on the planet, there's more than 1 billion. You want to know how I know? Because there are 8 billion people on the planet, and everybody owns at least one book. So even if it's a Bible, it's at least one book. So yeah, there's at least 8 or 10 billion books on the planet, or more probably.
According to Google, a quick Google search says there's over like 158 million books, but in terms of just
stories,
published books, books,
okay.
And then copies more. That's according to Dr. Google. Who knows? There's lots.
Yeah, that's kind of low since we're on this side. I forgot what the Christians said. At one time, the Catholics said there was more than 2 billion Bibles on the planet.
Oh yeah.
It's
that would be surprising.
Well, because last I checked, there was almost 2 billion Christians on it. I mean, 2 million Catholics on it. Or I think it was like 1.4 billion Catholics, and when you add in Christians, like 2.5. It's all the same Bible, people. And I wouldn't even read that. I'd go back and read because we're not going to get into this. It's too much, too complicated. The Bible you read today ain't even the original Bible that was written. So I don't even know what you're arguing with me about. No, you don't have to believe me. You can work it backwards. So I had requested, this was, like 30 years ago. I wanted to go to the Honeycombs in the Vatican because there was some things I wanted to look at. Well, I got several requests, but one of the things they showed me was a Bible from 882 or something. So the guy was flipping it with this weird little sticky thing. Even if you were there, you wouldn't be allowed to touch it, and you have to have masks on and stuff. So they actually flip it for you. I think it's in honeycomb too. And everything's. I think everything was in Greek or in Latin. It might have been in Latin. I'm not sure. Whatever it was, I couldn't read it, so they were translating it for me. And none of it sounded like the original Bibles or the Bibles we have today. None of it. It sounded like a whole different thing. It was freaky weird. And then you got the King James Version, which is what most people are reading today, but that's only because what's his name needed to get divorced. So I mean, it's changed a lot. That's all I can tell you. Don't argue with me. Educate yourself and find out what you're actually reading and why you're reading what you're reading. It's not that hard to do. We do it because we get requests for different shows dealing with different Bibles, like the Quran and what stories came from where. Well, Noah. Believe it or not, it's a 6,000-year-old story. And it's actually several stories in the modern Bibles that are way older than the Bible itself, way older than Christianity. Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, no, the Great Flood, the Sumerians and the Egyptians talk about the Great Flood 6,000 years ago. So it kind of messes up with the storytelling is all I got to tell y'all. That's why it's called faith, Jimmy. That's why it's called faith. Have faith. That's all I can tell you. I tell this to people all the time because, I talk about a lot of different things and religion gets drug up into it sometimes. So you should never allow someone like me to be able to affect your beliefs. If you truly believe in whatever it is that you believe in, and I mean, you have that develop, it shouldn't matter what I say. It shouldn't even phase you. You should just be like, oh, he's some stupid alien from some planet who wants to, do whatever. You just shouldn't. If I was devoutly believing in something, what you said would not change my views. No, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual, I guess would be a better way of saying it. I'm not religious. I'm just not. Everybody has their own rights. A good friend of mine's always bitching about karma this, karma that, karma this. I told I was sent here to teach karma, not to learn. He's like, wait, what? I said, well, somebody's got to be teaching this shit, right? And I said, if y'all are learning, somebody got to be teaching it. Ever since I said that, he's like, I hate you. I hate you. He said, I never thought about it. Some people might just be teaching it. I was like, I'm sure they're learning as well. What you got, Stephanie, for who? I've never even heard the name. Okay, well, that's a better question. What is his favorite movie? I don't know how he's got a favorite movie.
Okay. Yeah, I can answer that question.
So
I don't really watch. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like I don't watch that many. Like I'm not really a movie guy. I would say like I watch maybe a handful a year, if that.
Yeah, that's probably what I do. A handful a year.
Yeah, but I'd say Apocalypse Now was probably.
Ooh, it's a good one.
That's a good one. That's because I read Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness before watching the movie, and I really liked the Heart of Darkness. It was a great book, and then of course the Heart of Darkness is part of what inspired the Apocalypse Now, the movie itself. So the movie was just, as a reader, I was like, holy crap, this is cool. Vietnam version of the book, really. And it was, so that was probably my favorite, I would say.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. Like I'm also really into like, if you've heard of Miyazaki, he's a Japanese filmmaker and he makes gorgeous animated films, like all hand drawn. So I also really like his films too. They're very,
you know where I learned about that guy? I was watching, what was that? Legends of Tomorrow, one of the DC series, and they actually talk about him in one of the episodes. They actually go to Japan to get this guy who's drawing these octopuses that are eating everybody, and they actually talk about this guy. And I had to look him up to see exactly who they were talking. Yeah, they would throw stuff in, weird stuff like that, and it's a DC series, but oh no, it's off the air now, people. It's like I went like 9 or 10 or 7 or 8, I think, years it went. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Sci-fi series. So, Michael, where are you from, Michael? Los Angeles. I don't know if I'm going to ask your question. You one of them LA people. He just wants to know if you got any series you'd recommend
for
watching.
sci-fi?
Yeah, for sci-fi. He said sci-fi or fantasy is actually what he said.
Whew.
That's a tough one. The new series are scarce right now.
Yeah, like I haven't really watched any of the new series, and really I was more into like series. You know what? Like the first bit of The Witcher was good. I didn't watch the other seasons, but the first season was good. I like that.
Yeah.
But I'm into like more of the historical fiction, like Vikings or you know, or stuff like Breaking Bad.
That's
I
good.
really like Breaking Bad. That was really good. So,
Yeah,
but
those are
I
good series.
haven't actually watched many fantasy like series or sci-fi series really. I'm just too busy reading the books, I guess.
Yeah, probably so. Actually, well, to be honest with you, in the last 5 years, I've only watched a handful, and two of those was Altered Carbon and Expanse. And
Oh, The Expanse. I've seen clips of that. It looks pretty good, I would say.
Expanse is weird. Season 1 is really good. Season 2 is pretty good. I think it's season 3. One of the seasons completely suck. It might be 4. I think it's season 4. It just it's hard to get through that particular season. And it should have been a better one, but they got 6 seasons out of it. But I hate that they even say it now, because today, 6 seasons is what. In the old days, you'd get, when you were doing it, you'd get 6 years, which would be probably 125 episodes. Today, you get 6 years. And usually it takes more than 6 years to get them. You get about 62 episodes. It just bites. And somebody was bitching about Doctor Who the other day because the first 8 Doctors did 50 a year. Well, yeah, okay, it was a whole different world back then. And then it switched over to 25 a year. But now it's, now the new Doctors, I think, does 10 or 12 a year. And I don't know how you keep your fan base when you're only doing 12 a year, though. It's hard. I know I forget about them. I don't watch them. I don't see them unless somebody reminds me, oh, Joe, this is really good. You need to go watch it or something like that. And then I'll go watch it. But anything that has that short of a season, I forget. What are you talking about, Jimmy? Oh, well, have you seen? He wants to know if you've seen Star Trek Discovery. That's an arguable one.
Discovery? No,
Yeah.
I've seen like the old Star Trek or Deep Space Nine or a bit of what was the other one? Either way, like the older ones back in like the 90s.
Yeah. Deep Space Nine. You had Voyager.
And then the classic one with Patrick Stewart.
Yeah,
Patrick
Generations.
Stewart.
Yeah, Generations.
Yeah.
And then after that, you had Enterprise came out, which is a few years after all of them, which Scott Bakula was the captain. And then you got the 3 new ones. You had Discovery, Picard, and Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds is pretty good. Strange New Worlds is strange. You know what Strange New Worlds is? It's the old Star Trek. Kirk Star Trek is basically what it is. It's not a series of put together. Each show stands independently. It's basically that kind of series. So you're not going to really see a bunch of like Discovery. Each season was just a show. It was basically just one big ass show the whole entire time. And unfortunately for Discovery, even though it is good sci-fi, it is crap when it comes to Star Trek. It took so many liberties that you couldn't even call it Star Trek anymore. That's why they finally just went to the future and tried to get away from the genre altogether. They were just effing up. So, I mean, somebody got in there and thought they were going to change it. And unfortunately, I don't think they realized, but Star Trek fans are, pretty rigid in what they believe in. I don't know.
Got to be careful. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not that rigid of a Star Trek. I like Star Trek and I like Star Wars, but I'm not that rigid of a fan. I'm not going to hold you completely to the old standards of the shows, because things change and technologies change and understandings of the worlds and universes change. So sometimes you have to change to keep up. Sometimes you just change because you think you can do a better story.
Yeah, but there's always like a distribution where it's like, you can go too far either way.
Yeah, you can.
That sweet spot that's hard to hit. Yeah.
No, John, we're going to be out of here in about 4 or 5 minutes because we still got 4 or 5 minutes. What do you got? Favorite what? Oh, you said music. I'm sorry. That looked like jibber jabber. I know it says musician, but when you first wrote it, it looked like jibber jabber. There was like little dollar signs in there and little eyeballs and stuff. I mean, come on, dude. I pay money when I have to do mind reading. So anyway, what's your question? I did see that. So he's got a question. So there was a European book that came out that you read, but the book was set to music. So as you turned the page and read the story, there was actually a low music that played in the background, like one of them $5 gift store cards you buy.
Really?
Yeah, I read about it a while back, and it was just strange. The guy was, he would throw them through it. He'd turn the page, and each page had a little tune. I guess it had one of them little things in there. It just played a little tune. And I was like, what the? And it was real, real low. I guess it was to enhance the story. I wish I could remember the name of the book.
That's interesting. Never heard of that.
It was a very strange thing. And the guy who was touting it said it's going to be a thing in the future. And I never heard about it since, but he just wrote me about it. Yeah, no, I think it was. I want to say it was in England, in London or somewhere.
Hmm.
Not in London. It was in one of them. You know what? It was in one. Yeah, you're right. It was in one of them Doctor Who towns. Cardiff, I think, is where it was. I
Hmm.
think the same place they staged the alien. Oh, that was great. Have you ever seen that footage? Oh, so there's a guy who dresses up in his 12-foot alien costume. He looks like an alien. He's walking around town in his alien costume, running up to CC cameras and shaking them and shit. So they sent the cops out after him. Well, British cops don't carry guns, so he's, at least he's lucky about that. So the cops pull up. You see two different cop cars pull up, and they get out the car, and the guys are, they get back in their car and haul ass.
Hmm.
It was like watching comedy, man. And then somebody comes back with a gun, and he's out pulling his head off. No, don't shoot me, don't shoot. This is what was that? About 6-7 years ago? Yeah, it was a little while back, but it was. I don't know who got this stupid idea, why, but. And no, we're gonna. I'll say that before we go, but and then when y'all can bring it up on Wednesday's show on UFO Undercover. But yes, Elon Musk said he doesn't think aliens exist in the universe or in our galaxy. Let me rephrase that. I was like, you're on crack, Elon. Even the government now realizes aliens exist. You mean, what do you think? Look, I'm not going to get into all of that. Aliens, if they exist for whatever reasons. Look, first off, any life form that's born off this planet is an alien, whatever it is. It could be a freaking amoeba. It's still an alien. I guarantee you they will find. I said this 25 years ago. They were going to find water on Mars, and they would probably find at least microbiological life, probably things like funguses and spores. Well, they found that. They know there's liquid water on Mars now, and they know for a fact that when the ice cap recedes at the Arctic pole, that something's there growing. It shrinks when the ice cap comes in, and it grows when it goes away. So obviously there's something there alive. And then there's been methane and oxygen plumes on Mars, not little plumes, big plumes. The first time we ever found one was with Voyager. I mean, not Voyager, with Viking. And we found it again with Viking 2. And then they said, it was something to experiment. But now we have found it with all the rovers. Oh, yeah, I did see the helicopters. They wasn't responding yesterday. I haven't heard anything else about it. Yeah, that's the last I heard. So, yeah, there's a pretty good chance that there's life on Mars. Well, I don't know if it's intelligent. I don't think so. And if it is, we missed out. It's probably underground, but there's definitely life on Mars other than what we think. Mars has everything it's supposed to have life. It has heat. It has atmosphere. It has gravity. It has liquid water. All those things are conducive to life. Look at our own planet. You get shit in the desert. The black smoke is in the bottom of the Marinara Trench. I mean, look, life lives everywhere here. So don't think just because Mars is dry on the top, it's not wet somewhere else. Or, we know for sure it had oceans on it. So there's probably water locked in under the ground somewhere. Yeah, we'll find it. It won't take that much longer. If at the rate Elon's going, probably in a decade, maybe two, they'll find some kind of life. What I'm waiting to see is not that they're going to find life. I think they can find life on several of the moons and stuff. What I'm waiting to see is when we find like an artifact. That's what I'm waiting to see. When we go to where these so-called pyramids are, and where all those ruins look like they're ruins, and they actually go up and say, "Oh shit, they really are ruins." That's what I want to see. Nothing else really matters. As far as finding microbes or rats or birds or whatever it may be on a planet, I have no doubt we're going to find that. But I'm just waiting to see when we see Spencer standing out with the book on. Anyway, you tell them where they can find you. We got to get out of here, but tell them where they can find you and what you're going to be doing in the future. And if, what do you mean is he single? Girl, he's in the whole side of the other planet right now. What are you even worried about that?
Yeah, that's I
mean, that's not even your business question.
I mean, getting a bit personal here, aren't we? But
yeah, I know he might like aliens, as far as you know. You better just stay. It's the funniest damn thing that we get these kind of questions, and we do almost every guest, except for some of the more cranky guests. But I don't know what it is. I mean, are y'all that desperate people? I mean, he's good looking, but that's not what I mean. All right, that came out the wrong way.
Oh, thank you very much, sir.
I apologize for that, Spencer. That came out the wrong way. But it's called the internet. There's lots of thousands of hundreds of dating sites on there. And go find you a spouse. I just thought it was rude. Great. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So anyway, where they can find me and stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tell them where they can get you.
So basically I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I have my personal website as well. It's spencersekulin.net for my personal website. And basically everything else you can find just by Googling my name, because I haven't seen anyone else at all with my name at all. So it seems like
That's
a
a
very
big sign.
uncommon. It's basically, yeah. So just Google Spencer Sekulin and you'll probably find something about me. That's for sure.
Yes.
So that's my best dressed recommendation, I would say.
So, guys, girls, if you forget, all you gotta do is come back, listen to the archive, or post it up, and or just skip to the back, and you'll know where his address is. Janine, no, we're going. What do you mean, New York City? He's in Ireland, not New York City. What are you? Wait, were y'all even listening tonight? Really? I'm beginning
I'm
to
in
wonder.
Dublin right now.
Oh
It's
yeah,
11 p.m. Jeez.
yes.
It's almost midnight.
Man's got to go to bed. Look. He's studying to be. Okay, guys, real quick. He's studying to be a doctor. Oh, that's why you probably asked that question, huh? Okay, I see you, dog. He's studying to be. None of this is easy. I have several friends that are going through med school, and none of it is easy. None of it. No, it's work, and it's not just. You have to retain. It's not like you can just pass a test and go on. This is stuff you need to retain because you may need it in the future. Yes, unfortunately, that's just how it is. What do you mean take a needle? That's for the nurse, man. Doctors ain't supposed to be doing that. Nurse is supposed to be doing that. I'm sorry. I'm going to get in trouble now anyway. I'm going to get you in trouble, Spence. Let me get out of here.
No comment. No comment.
That's a nurse. If the doctors do that, what the hell are the nurses going to do? I mean, really, come on. Anyway, we're out of here. I hope everybody enjoyed it evening night. Remember, you can find us here every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. Central Time. Of course, I'll be here 6 to 8 on Wednesday, 9 to usually about 1 a.m. on Fridays. And Mondays, when I'm doing Science and Beyond, it's usually 3 to 5. So you can catch us doing that. No, Science and Beyond is just science. It's no flippy side science. It's just hardcore science. I'm a geek. I can't help it, man. I am truly in my heart. I am a geek. But anyway, on that note, we got to get out of here. Everybody enjoy your Saturday, and for everybody who's listening to us and it's Sunday, I hope you have a happy Monday tomorrow. And for that note, good night. Stay tuned for the Gray Zone with Michelle.
Take care. Thanks for coming, everyone.